The latest World Happiness Report shows that America is slipping. We've dropped from the 13th most happiest country in the world to 14th. Norway, by the way, is the happiest country this year. But America keeps dropping, and here to help us understand what this might mean is Dr. Linda Mintle. She's a best-selling author and therapist. Welcome, Dr. Mintle.
It's interesting.
Yes.
Norway, of all places, it's cold there.
I know.
I don't think I'd be happy.
But according to this survey, the happiest country.
Yeah.
Well, the research notes that although income in the U.S. has gone up over the past decade, happiness is declining. What do you think's going on?
Well, I think if we looked at that survey and we look at what were the two factors that makes Norway such a happy place. So one of them is there's a real sense of community in that country and support for each other, community building relationships, very important. That's one of the things that we really struggle with in our country is we're getting much more isolated. There's a lot of things that we can talk about in terms of why that is. And then the second thing was that there was this sense of helping each other for the common good. Now, some people would label that socialism, in some of those countries, but there is something biblical about the idea of taking care of everyone, looking out for the poor, looking out for the orphans, not considering yourself better than other people, and really having a sense of what you need to do with each other to bring each other up. So I think if we look at those two factors, we're not doing so well on those in America.
Well, the report authors also say that Americans are becoming more mean-spirited and government is becoming more corrupt. What are your thoughts on that and the connection to happiness?
So I do think if we look at the election cycle and everything that's happened in the past year, there is a lot of just horrible talk. We've lost our civility, there's disrespect, we're constantly distrusting organizations, including, even news organizations, the media, the politicians. And when you start to take the trust away from people, and they're always suspicious of what goes on, that certainly does erode at your sense of security and happiness. And I think social media plays a role in that too, Mark. I do think that the ability to just get on social media and blast away with no personal accountability to other people sort of widens the door again to have a lot of people feeling like they're being attacked or they're being blamed or they're bullied or they're victimized. And certainly that's going to be an underlying factor in the way people feel on a day-to-day basis.
People do hide behind social media,
do.
that is for sure. Yeah. Well, from your work as a therapist, what do you think are the factors that lead to happiness in people's lives?
I really struggle with this idea as a Christian of always looking for happiness. I think the Bible is really clear that we can have joy. We can have the joy of the Lord, and the Scripture says that is our strength.
Amen, yes.
So we can do that. We can be content, according to the Scripture. Paul talks about no matter what is going on around me, I can be content because of who Christ is in me, knowing that He has me, that He's guiding me, that my steps are ordered, all the promises of God. So I think rather than pursuing some kind of happiness that's out there, it's better to pursue that contentment and that peace that you find in the Lord and then have the joy of the Lord as your strength. And that does get represented a lot of times as happiness.
Yeah, the joy of the Lord sustains you in tough times and in good times as well. Kind of keeps you stable there.
Yeah, and I do think if we look at a little bit of what's in that study, again, we get away from the materialistic focus that we've so gotten in this country. And we again start to look at and say, okay, relationships are important. Balance in my life. I'm not going to work myself to the bone and then not have anybody in my life to celebrate that with. Maybe there's something more, there's something better. And of course, you and I are going to point people back to that relationship with Jesus Christ that
Amen.
Gives us that ultimate meaning in our life and hope. And when people have meaning and hope, they feel happy.
What is the best way to improve your personal contentment?
I think, again, just getting grounded and getting centered in what is the most important thing in my life and having an eternal purpose as well. Looking at, it's not just now. What I'm doing now is going to matter for eternity. So again, refocusing away from all the stuff, the glitter around us in our culture and beginning to center ourselves in the Lord and really find our meaning, our identity, who we are, and then take that love of God because Scripture, Jesus told us, love God first. And then you'll love other people and loving your neighbor. And when we give of ourselves and we're generous and we are caring for those around us, we're going to feel happy inside because there's something wonderful about loving God and then loving other people that makes you happy.
That is so true. So true. Thanks so much, Dr. Linda. Appreciate it.
Thanks.